महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ देवीं प्रकृतिम आश्रिताः भजन्ति अनन्य मनसो ज्ञात्वा भूतादिम अव्ययम. Hello friends, this is the 13th shlok of the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and today we will understand this shlok in detail. So let's first go over its meaning. So the shlok says, Mahatmanastu mam partha, which means, but the one, in my great opinion, O Parth, devim prakritim ashritaha, which means take shelter in the goddess nature. Bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva, which means do not worship any other in mind, knowing bhutadim avyayam, which means the original being unchanging. So, after describing about a person who is concentrating his consciousness to the outside, now Shri Krishna talks about the person who is in very high opinion for him. So he says that such a person, he sees the nature to be a goddess, and he does not worship any other in mind except me, who is the original being, the unchanging. So the idea basically is that we should all only worship the Supreme Lord, and we should not get distracted by other things. So this is the idea which is similar to what the Muslims also say, wherein they say that they only bow to the Allah, which is the one God, the Supreme God. That's what they say. So this is basically the same idea which has been presented over here in Gita also, wherein Shri Krishna is saying that the wise, they only worship the original being who is the unchanging. But we must understand that only bowing to the Allah does not mean that you only go to the masjid and only bow over there. We all know that that original supreme being is situated in all the beings which are present over here in this universe. And so when we worship a gross being, say our parents for example, or a very wise person, or our teachers, when we bow in front of them, then there is nothing wrong in bowing in front of them, because the divine is present in them also. So this message which says that we only bow to the original being actually means that we bow to all the beings, knowing that that divine being is present in them. So we bow to our parents, but we bow not to the body of our parents, but to the divine inside them, which has motivated them to look after us and nurture us. We bow to our teacher, but we don't bow to the body of the teacher. We bow to the divine which is present in our teacher, which has inspired them to teach us the great knowledge that they have. So that is what is meant by bowing to the original being. That doesn't mean that you only go to a worshipping place and just bow over there. You bow to all the beings who have done good to us, but we bow to the divine in them. And if a person is performing bad, then that person is performing bad because he is not aware of the divine inside him. So the divine is still present in him, but he is not aware of it. So when we bow to a person who has done good, we bow to the divine in him, which has motivated him to do the good thing. That doesn't mean that that body is what we are bowing to, or that murti that we are bowing to, that statue that we are bowing to, idol we are bowing to. We are not bowing to the physical aspect of it. We are bowing to the divine that is behind that whole idea of that symbol or whatever it is. It could be cross, it could be a symbol, it could be anything, it could be any statue, but we are bowing to the divine that it represents, not to that particular thing. So that is what is meant over there. And these people who are wise, who see the divine in all beings, they realize that they are not their body, they are not their ego. They have that divine present in them, and that is what is their true nature. So they become one with it, and then they see that that divine is present in all the beings present over here. That divine is present in everything over here. So they are not deluded by this nature. They don't feel that compulsion to impose their own will and bring this entire creation under their control. They let it be the way it is, and they worship it the way it is, and by surrendering to its will, they become one with it, and their will and the will of this entire creation becomes one. And in that sense, then this entire divinity then becomes them itself, and they become this entire divinity, and in that way then this entire world is theirs. Of course it's theirs that way. So they give it up, everything, and by doing that, they become one with the divine, and the divine becomes one with them, and that way, then the entire creation then becomes one for them. So this entire creation is them, and so it is theirs. That realization is what is the realization of immortality that we are all looking for. So I hope that I have explained this shlok well to you. With that, I'll close this video. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.